Hey folks, I'm John.
I'm Johnny.
We're here with the Unconditional Life. Just want to talk to you a little bit today about relationships in specific. We talked a little bit about loving unconditionally, period. We talked a little bit about unconditionally loving ourselves. Now we want to delve into the topic of unconditional love in our relationships. And I would put the idea out there that if you could remove conditions from your relationships in your life, all relationships aren't just marriage. You have a relationship with your boss. You have a relationship with the bank teller. You have a relationships are everywhere, with your kids, with your parents, with your siblings. So relationships are paramount. But imagine, if you would, relationships without conditions. And by that I mean, I just get to love you, Johnny, because I do, not because you do anything for me or I'm trying to manipulate you into doing anything. Just because I'm secure in myself, I've mastered my own self-love, so I can love you without judgment, without conditions, without strings.
No strings attached. I like that. Nobody likes strings. No, so relationships, yeah, like John was saying, we're in a relationship with everybody. Whether that's a lot, a little bit, a heavy relationship, one that you barely even interact with, we are still in a relationship. And the wonderful, cool blessing about being in a relationship is that through your relationships on this earth is how you become who you are. It's how you learn who you are. It's how you learn from what other people do, what you don't like. Not that it's right or wrong, but it just doesn't add up to you. They allow us to become who we are. But at the same time, we can do a little bit better with our relationship. I know I can. And kind of what relationships without conditions is, yes, it's a tricky concept to kind of focus on or to wrap your head around. But really, I mean, I read, have you ever read the book, The Four Agreements?
Absolutely, one of my favorites.
Don
Miguel Ruiz.
What an amazing book that was. That book completely changed my entire life as far as my relationships go. It allowed me to be objective in pretty much all the moments. And sometimes I still get emotionally, sucked in and stuff like that. That's our nature as human beings. It happens. But I would say that's more the exception instead of the rule nowadays. There's a couple points in that book that Mr. Ruiz makes that really drove home how I treat other people or how I would like to be treated by other people. Number one, I've stopped taking things personal. I mean,
such a good secret.
Not taking things personal. I mean, it sounds incredibly challenging, but when you practice being in kind of an objective point of view, you're going to see a lot more how easy that actually gets. And then the other biggest thing is to be in non-judgment. That's the biggest thing we do as human beings that probably gets in our way of our unconditional love most of the time is our judgments, whether it's about ourselves, about who we're talking to, about what we're talking about. Judgment seems to like to creep its way in there.
Absolutely. I think we get judgy all the time. I think we're, first and foremost.
You do especially.
Talked about that a little bit some days. I think with the idea of judgment is, and you go back to, you mentioned don't take things personal. That's the part of this agreement that I love the most. And that's what's changed me the most in my life. I had to realize, and most of us should just realize, that people are doing the best they can. And most of the time, here's a good example. I get up on a Monday morning, I'm hectic, I'm trying to get out the door. I know the garbage can's got to go to the street. My wife's got to deal with the kids and whatever's going on. And maybe just in that moment, she asked me to do something. She's just bumping along doing her day the same way I am. It's not about, she's not trying to throw a monkey wrench in my work to say, hey, would you stop at the bank? She's just asking for a favor. And if I take it personal, make some judgment, say, oh man, does she know how much I got on my plate today? Instead of just a simple, easy, sure or no. That doesn't work for me. It's so much easier to stay in that place where Johnny isn't trying to attack me because he's got his own agenda in his own life and everything that he's worried about going on in his life. Very few people are going to go out of their way to just attack you and try and be mean to you or personally we're all just doing the best we can every moment, especially today when everybody wants to be offended so fast. Breathe. All of us breathe. Know that the person, especially in marriage and family relationships, most of these people really do love you. And they're doing their best by you with all the information they have to work with. Not taking things personal allows you to cut some slack, I think, on yourself, on the world, and then you don't have to get into a place of judgment.
Yeah. And it prevents you from rushing into emotional decisions and reactions as well, which is awesome. Something you touched on right there that is this is one of the main tools that helped me learn how to be non-judgmental. You have to realize that whenever anybody's doing something or unhappy about something or upset or has an issue, you got to remember it. As silly as this may sound to you, it has nothing to do with you. Oh, any issue somebody has with you, it's 100% about them.
Amen.
If I don't have an issue with something you're saying, John, I'm not going to call you out on it. If I have an issue with it, I'm going to say something to you, but the reason I said something to you is because something inside me isn't in alignment. Something about me didn't react to what you said. Well, so there's something I got to figure out within me. All relationships people think it's the other person has to do this for me, or they're supposed to do this, or I expect somebody to be that. It's the other way around. What do you expect from yourself? Because really, that's the only thing that you're in control of is yourself. And when you realize that everybody else who's kind of picking fights or having issues, most of that or all of that is because of something they're going through or some issues that they have. It's hard to really, it takes some practice to kind of get used to that mindset, but it's helped me tremendously. My wife, when she likes to get mad at me for things that I deserve, because it happens.
Yeah, we're guys, we do dumb stuff.
In the moment, we'll have our conversation or whatever, but when we're done, we never fail to talk about it and share each other's opinions on what happened. Because you know what? We are both right. We just both have two completely different perceptions of what happened.
Well, and that's called emotional intelligence. To be able to passionately, actively agree to disagree and not, it doesn't mean anything about me. My wife is so much smarter than me about so many things, just like I know things that she doesn't. And it doesn't really matter. The trick with relationships is to be more invested in communication and understanding where your partner or whoever you're relating to is coming from. And it's not about being right. I could beat you over the head with being right and prove to you 100 times that I'm right and you're wrong. And that is all about me. That is so far-fetched or so far-flung from the resolution of a relationship. Communication is, I love the fact that you see this different than me. Thank goodness that you can see something I didn't see. And it's so much more open-hearted, open-minded. I love that we disagree about things. We don't fight ever. I haven't had a fight with my wife in so long I can't even remember it. And we're really passionate people. We disagree. What's amazing is sometimes she'll change her perspective or I'll change mine based on the fact that we gave each other the space to disagree. And then I can go, you know what? She's pretty freaking smart. I should probably look at that from a different, and it cracks a light on this veneer of my rightness. Because I'm at the edge of what I know anyway. I'm as good as I can get with my own thinking right now. I need her perspective. We need somebody, you need a contrarian in the business.
You need that.
In the relationship.
Yep. Even if you feel like you're right 100%, you always need that other point of view to bounce off yourself. You need to, just like you were saying. And the cool thing is that I was thinking about this the other day. There's not one person on this entire planet that will see something the exact same way you will.
Absolutely.
So you've got to go into your relationships expecting a different point of view. When you go into it expecting that there's going to be a different way to look at this, then you're not going to be so emotional about whatever response you're going to get, regardless of who that is in the relationship. Because there's not one person, even if you're the exact same age, exact same height, exact same gender, have had very similar experiences. You're identical on paper.
Yeah, do you have siblings? Do you have siblings?
Yeah.
Do we all think and talk and act and agree exactly the same?
Exactly.
No way. No way.
Because everybody brings a whole different bag of experiences to each new experience that you didn't have.
And I would say to you that that's the magic. That's the magic.
Makes it awesome, doesn't it?
That's the magic of an unconditional relationship. When I can love you just purely for the fact that I love me when I do. Regardless of your idiosyncrasies or the things you do different or the fact that you go this way instead of that way to get somewhere. There's 1,000 ways to get down to the Maverick from here, and there's nothing wrong with how you get there. In my mind, I believe the only mistake you make is criticizing somebody else for how they go.
Yep. Absolutely, we do. Seems to be, and that's what it's all about. I mean, that's why we decided to talk about relationships. It's because there's so much of that being thrown around in the world today. People ready to have an opinion immediately about something, jump all over somebody because they did something they wouldn't have done. It's all over the media. It's all over the news. All people can do in our government is point fingers at each other and say,
no
you this,
accountability.
me that. But when you, at the end of the day, you've got to be accepting of all these different points of view of everybody around you, or you're never going to be able to love those people. And I know you may be sitting there saying, I don't need to love everybody in the world. It's not about needing to love other people in the world. It's about becoming somebody different. It's about changing who you are to be an unconditional type of liver. And then when you get to there, that automatically happens.
And why not? If people can hate for no reason at all, I can love as big and as bold and as bad as I want to, just because I do. And I don't care who you are or where you come from or what your story is. You don't get to affect the love that I have for me inside of me that radiates out from me. And I want to leave one thought on the table. I believe if we lean into taking care of ourselves, if we are selfish enough to always put our air mask on first, we can start to rescue the world. We can start to see unconditional options in our life. We can start to honor and respect the differences that we have in this world. We are not supposed to all be the same. My goodness, my favorite bumper sticker says, never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups. Now, I'm not trying to say that we're all stupid or that even some of us are, but you know where I'm going with this. Look at the momentum that's created by everybody wanting to think or believe or do exactly the same thing. We need individuality. We need uniqueness. Look at this beautiful world around us. Everything is just a little bit different. Why do you think? We need that contrarian in our life to say, did you see this? And it's our own best interest to be out of our own way and love them for seeing it different than we do without expectation from them.
It's like no two snowflakes are the same. How many billions of snowflakes have fallen? But yeah, really, that's the heart of really what's in our hearts is we've recently in our lives gotten to a place where we feel like we're doing really good at being unconditionally loving toward ourselves and towards some of the people, and we're trying to get better every day. Not that was worse, but it's all about self-evolution. You want to be a little bit more evolved today than you were yesterday. Not improved, not because then it kind of puts a judgment on who you were, and that's not bad either. But we're evolving together as a humanity.
Yeah.
And I dream for the day that our nation and our world starts focusing on evolution instead of survival.
Yep. On love instead of all the other stuff. Love truly is the answer. If you can love yourself and love the world around you, everything else will start to take care of itself. I think the Beatles said something about imagine a world full of people loving each other. And that's why we're here.